Now to President Trump's growth agenda. Joining us now, Budget Director Mick Mulvaney. Sir, welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Stuart, thanks as always for having me.
Why should I have any confidence that you can get us tax cuts when we couldn't get anything done on Obamacare?
It's a fair question, but there's also a fair answer. I think what you saw the Big Six, the House Republicans, the Senate Republicans, the White House roll out yesterday, or I think the day before yesterday, was a basic set of principles that everybody agrees on. The bat is gone. The ideas about growth are there. We're all on the same page. So arguably we're already ahead of the curve on taxes compared to where we are on health care. I don't think that Republicans themselves seem to agree on where health care repeal and replace should go, but we all agree on tax reform.
Is there basic agreement within the Republican Party in the Senate and in the House that we cut individual tax rates and we cut corporate tax rates?
I think so.
That's the agreement right there.
It's more than just that. There's the basic idea that the system needs to be simpler. The basic idea it needs to be more pro-growth and more pro-capital investment. These are big ideas and big places to have agreement. So while the details are not there, the answer to your question is yes. We all agree that it needs to be simpler, that the rates need to be lower. Now the discussions are simply going to be how much simpler and in what way, and how low will those rates be. But those are the types of deals that traditionally do and can get done in Washington.
Now, in the White House this morning, you're dealing with this Scaramucci issue, the use of obscene language going right after Reince Priebus. I mean, clearly there is chaos in the White House. Is that going to get in the way with your job and the work of cutting taxes? I know you're going to shake your head, but you know, the rest of the country is looking at this and saying, what's going on here?
Well, I'll push back a little bit on that whole chaos thing. Keep in mind, we just revealed yesterday, again, that this idea of a unified position on basic principles on taxes. That's not chaotic. We just rolled out at the Office of Management and Budget late last week over 860 regulatory actions that we have delayed or stopped in the first 6 months of this administration. That's not chaos. Yes, the media does pick up on that, and that's fine. That's what they do for a living. But we work here, and we're making progress here, and you saw it in today's GDP numbers. You've seen it in the capital investment numbers. You talked a little bit about consumer sentiment at the top of the show. Look at the business sentiment as reflected in that capital investment numbers. You're up over 8%. This is tremendous sort of testament to what's actually going on with the nuts and bolts of running this country and getting the economy moving in the right direction. So sure, the chaos is going to play out of the media. It always does. Palace intrigue sells better than raw numbers, but the raw numbers are looking better and better, and that's because the administration is actually doing its work.
If you push back against the idea of chaos in the White House, what about this? There are some Republicans, in the Senate especially, who appear to detest President Trump. And I don't know whether those feelings had anything to do with Senator McCain's no vote last night, but that was a surprise. And there are Republicans in the Senate who really do not like this president. It is personal, and I think that could get in the way of cutting taxes in the Senate. No?
Could. It shouldn't. At the end of the day, you hope that Democrats, Republicans, House members, Senate members will allow policies to help guide their final decision. Also allow the promises they've made to their own constituents to decide those decisions. So maybe you don't like the president, that's fine, but if you promise your people back home you would vote to repeal Obamacare, you should have done it. And you need to do it. And that's why I think the Senate actually isn't finished with health care. I don't think they can go home for the August recess without passing something. So their personal feelings for the president notwithstanding, policy should drive their decisions, and when it does, we'll see Obamacare repealed and replaced.
We've still got the Obamacare taxes with us. Is that going? They're probably going to stay for some time. That's a probability. Doesn't that get in the way of cutting taxes elsewhere?
Yeah, the way I look at that, Stuart, I was a little disappointed when I saw that come out of the Senate original version. I know that a lot of people were. Here's how I look at it. If that's what it takes to get Obamacare repealed and possibly replaced in the Senate, that's fine. We'll get a second bite at the apple on tax reform. We don't like those taxes. We know what they do to GDP growth. We know the impact they have, the negative impact they have on the health of the American economy. So we'd like to see them removed as part of the health care debate, but if not, we do get that second chance to review the issue as part of tax reform.
2.6% annualized growth between what will be April and June. On this program, several commentators have said, look, we'd love to get to 3%, but you can't get to 3% unless you cut taxes. You agree with that?
I think that a lot of things have to happen. We introduced the concept last week of Maganomics as this unifying theme of everything we're due as we try to get to that sustained 3% economic growth. Tax reform is certainly part of that. But don't discount the value of that deregulatory effort that we're putting through at the Office of Management Budget as part of the White House's effort to jumpstart the economy. We're already seeing that in the GDP growth. Don't discount the things we're trying to do on welfare reform, on our energy policy. Maganomics is the weaving together of all of those things as we try to get to 3% growth. So do you ask me, can we get to 3% growth without tax reform? Probably not, but there's other things moving at the same time. You're already seeing that filter through to the numbers.
Mick Mulvaney, I think you've got a very tough job, and I think you're in a very tough position, but we thank you very much for appearing with us this morning. Thank you, sir.
Stuart, I love my job, I love my position, I love being on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thanks very much, Mick. Thank you.